We didn't warn him.
Warn who?
Earl.
About?
Me. I got Tourette's of the mouth.
Tourette's of the mouth. I got you.
I'm gonna be professional tonight. I'm not gonna ask you if you would with aliens or anything like that.
I appreciate that.
But I may.
I'm just interested. I'm anxious to get some of the stories.
Oh, you know what I was gonna ask him before we started?
Welcome everybody.
And I think we
please
could,
share the show, please.
Yep. Well, I think we could ask him during the show. I was gonna ask him if he does any of the Bigfoot stuff, because I think his area gets a lot of sightings.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if I forget,
I'll ask him.
Squeeze that in sometime. Yeah, squeeze her in.
I'll ask him.
All right, getting over there.
Great show scheduled tonight, everybody. We've got Earl Grey Anderson from Mufon on with us tonight. Looking forward, Kimmy Scott says.
Yeah, cool thing is you don't even have to have a link open.
To
don't
what?
have to have no information. You don't need to pull up no stats.
Share the show, everybody. Please share the show. And if
what up, Jamie?
If you haven't subscribed on YouTube yet, please do so.
Kimmy Scott, what's happening? Kathy in the Berg, what's up? Leslie, Linda, Roger Rabbit, what's going on? Come on, let's do it. Ron, thanks for the hug. What I got here today, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Could have mean me yesterday, bro. I mean, I took that home.
I didn't give you a hug, but I
took that
wanted
home.
to.
And I told Lisa. No, I told Lisa, I'm like, man, he was just being rude.
Oh, man.
Man, dude, it was like kind of pierced my soul like it was a demonic attack.
Jeez.
You know what I mean? I was driving home, playing my music real loud.
Pierced my crying.
I was playing Bon Jovi on the way home.
Debbie Treadway, happy Taco Wednesday.
What up, girl? What up, Becker?
All right, 30 seconds.
Darla Hines. What up, Jamie?
Share, everybody. Please
share. What's going on? Let's do it.
All right, here we
Rock and roll.
So if you're looking for new or replacement term life insurance, call right now for a free quote.
Rates and availability may vary by state. Sample rate quotes are based on preferred non-tobacco underwriting exam required to qualify. 800-803-2142. 800-803-2142. 800-803-2142. That's 800-803-2142.
Journey into the matrix of the mind. Stretch your imagination and challenge reality. Abnormal realities are beacons for the imagination. What society deems abnormal may be more real than we think. This is Abnormal Realities with your hosts, Ron Phillips and Rocky Stucci.
And there we are. The finger point always makes me start the show differently. It's like it builds up energy. It's weird. I can't explain it. Ron did the wind up.
You're up.
I was like, and there we are. Dude, I felt that. That's so weird. It's like you're producing like a, I don't know. It's like
welcome, everybody. Welcome. Rocky's sad. I didn't give him a hug when he got here. We were busy.
Don't even want to talk about it. I'm still kind of upset about yesterday.
Oh, my God.
Yep.
I don't even know why.
I go home and I go to Lisa. I'm like, did you see how that dude was talking to me on the freaking show? He was yelling at me.
Did anybody hear me yelling at Rocky?
A little bit. I'm going to find the video. I'm going to make a video.
That is not true.
I'm going to make a little video and post it tomorrow.
That's not true.
Hey, you know the cool thing I was telling Ron about these type of shows that we're going to have tonight is before the show started, I told him, I'm like, brother, I don't even need to have anything up. I don't need to have no articles, no reference points. Don't need none of it. You know what I'm saying, brother?
I do.
Okay. Sounds good. I'm keeping going.
It's absolutely the case because, quite honestly, there are going to be stories that come out tonight that people are going to go, really? That crap happens? Yes, it does, folks.
I bet you $5 in about an hour, we're going to be like, dude, we need way more time.
we will need way more time.
So, you know, anybody who's kind of followed the Meatball for a while, you guys have watched some of my shows in the past, and to you that have been around for a little bit, this gentleman coming on the program tonight is no stranger to our family. So we're proud for the first time to have on Abnormal Realities is our brother, Earl Grey. So, Earl, my man, thank you so much. Oh, by the way, the state director of Mufon, brother,
Southern California, yeah.
Come on, brother.
Hello.
How you doing, my friend?
How
Welcome
you
to the
guys
show.
doing? It's good to see you.
Well, Earl, a lot of people don't know that we got to talk with you for about half an hour before the show, and we actually did a whole freaking segment that we should have recorded. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we probably should have.
Oh,
Oh.
goodness. My
Oh.
video is a little this end. Oh, well. My audio's coming through okay, isn't it?
There you are.
It
Look at
is
that
n- it
smile.
is now.
Look at that
Yeah.
smile.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Okay.
All right,
I'm
so
not smiling anymore.
yeah, he says I'm done with this choppy
Oh,
camera
Lord
stuff.
have mercy.
You know,
That's
it's weird.
okay.
It's like something clicked and now everything's good. Look at that. Even his camera's perfect.
It is for right now.
Don't jinx us. Knock on something.
Yeah.
Oh, I jinxed us. Hey, all right, Earl, tell everybody that is watching, new people, we're introducing you to Brother Earl right now. We've been, you've been on the show a couple times in the past, and we've been on social media. You tolerate me somehow on social media. Don't know how you do it, but we've been friends on social media for a while, so we kind of follow each other. But it's an honor to have you back on, brother, for one. Thank you so much for your time out. And I told Earl before the show started, I said, hey, little rumor going around that, you're busy. And so he was kind of filling us
Or
in.
got a little more busy.
Yeah, he's just kind of filling us in on some new events in his life. So, brother, kind of let everybody know what you got going on and what you're doing, and then we'll just take it from there.
Yeah, well, I was given the state directorship over at Mufon for Southern California, and Southern California is a hot spot. I mean, it is the world's hot spot. You can go anywhere else, and you as many as you will coming into Mufon from Southern California. It's just a thing. I'm not sure if it's just because the ETs want to get some sun and the beach out here. That probably has a lot to do with things. That there's aerospace that's going on that's sort of centralized here. And that's really how I got into the phenomenon in the first place. Was my mom. She used to be. She was one of Howard Hughes's two personal secretaries that he had. When I was about 5 years old, my mom went and did a little bit of disclosure with my 5-year-old self, and told me about. She talked about as though we already knew that there was such a thing. And my mom told a very strange story about having worked in a deep underground military lab. That was when she was working for Hughes. They took her out with a little security detail to the middle of the desert. She never told me which desert it was. I always sort of had the image of perhaps Area 51, where it was, but I was curious. I know on base out in Tehachapi, California, that's quite a few levels to it. So it could have been any number of places. White Sands, they have a underground base. But she said that they took her out to the middle of nowhere, and that there was this it looked like a pump house. Went into the pump in there.
I think we probably should.
Had to unlock this thing, play. Oh, is the
Yeah, it's
video
cutting out. It's cutting
messing
out
up?
bad enough now that we're not catching hardly anything that you're saying. So why don't
Do you want
go
me to
ahead
turn
and
off the video?
yeah,
I'm
go
gonna
ahead and turn
it
off your video,
on my end.
and then we'll switch over to this screen here.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah,
There we go.
yeah, and we'll see if that works for a little bit. So
Great.
so
That's
okay,
a bit
so
younger of a shot of me anyway. You're giving me 6 years.
Hey, don't worry about it. I got like 15 face apps in my
Facelift,
phone, so every
yeah.
time I do a selfie, I got to go through every app and take the bags away and the wrinkles
There
away.
you go.
So, all right, continue, my brother. You were talking about.
So I hope,
yep.
I hope that you heard the gist of what I was saying. My mom, she said that they went in this elevator, and that she figured it would go a floor or two down, and she started feeling scared when it just kept on going. She said that she felt butterflies in her stomach was the way that she described it, but it was vertigo that she experienced. She said that when the elevator finally did stop, that the doors opened up and that there was a little city down there. Now, this was like 1955. It's a long time ago. Imagine what they must have.
was it like a
going
was
on
it
now.
like a a bunker for wartime or anything like that? Or?
No, she said that there were scientists that were doing various projects down there. It was just apparently all top secret stuff they would do literally underground. If you want to hide something, that's the way that you hide it. I know that my mom talk about Werner von Braun as having been a friend, a personal acquaintance. She spoke quite glowingly of him, in fact. And I would kind of, Mom, wasn't he he was a Nazi, wasn't he? And her whole attitude was, well, he was forced to work for Hitler. I mean, if you were a scientist, you're going to work for them, or else they would, they would execute you or
he
put
is
you in
absolutely
prison.
one of the fathers of our space programs. I mean,
yes, he was.
This for her to have that kind of relationship, that's actually pretty cool in my book.
You're doing all right?
I'm doing fine.
She said
ahead.
that he used to call her Betty Grace, which was her first name and her middle name. So it was sort of like a pet name, and so apparently they were pretty close. And my mom would talk about this little city under the desert. She said that they had a movie theater, that they had a bowling alley. The people were down there for long periods of time. And I did a little bit of research. I spoke with this gentleman, Richard Souter, who's written about 4 or 5 different books on underground bases. And up until recently, he never even mentioned the ET factor that factors into this. They kind of go hand in hand with a lot of the stories that you hear. But it was mostly just about our underground bases that are, secret, but not so secret anymore, apparently. But speaking with Richard, he said, well, this is interesting because one of the earliest blueprints that we have of Area 51 shows Howard Hughes as having owned the first, private contractor lab at Area 51. So maybe this was indeed at Area 51. It would have been the right time period for that. But she spoke of working in this deep underground military base. They call them DUMBs, Deep Underground Military Base, DUMB. And that was the first strange story. But the other thing was that she talked about life in the universe as being something as a known. Some years went by, and I took my mom to see the movie Star Wars. And, I would try to get my mom to talk a little bit more, and usually she wouldn't. Okay, she was very possessive about her knowledge because apparently she had signed the, NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, and they take those quite seriously. In fact, when I was about 10 years old...
Did they have time limits on them? Do you know the NDAs?
I don't know. I think that once you take an NDA, that you're kind of stuck with that for your life.
Okay.
This is kind of what as far as I know. So when I was about 10 years old, my mom had to have a little talk because I was getting loose-lipped at school talking about it. And word got back to her through my teacher, and she had to tell me that, other people don't know about this, Earl. And I shouldn't have told you, I thought that you were young enough that you were going to completely forget it. You're just 5 years old. But here you are, you're 10, and you're still bringing this up. So my mom wouldn't really talk about it until 1977. I took her to see the movie Star Wars. We went to see it in Santa Monica. She had gone to a doctor's appointment because she kept getting cancers. I found out through research that this is a common thing for people that work in the deep underground military bases, is that a lot of them wind up with cancers later on. Maybe because they're powering it with a nuclear pile is my guess, just like you would have a nuclear submarine does the same thing.
Right.
Perhaps they just didn't know to protect people, just how dangerous it was back in the 1950s. But she got a clean bill of health, and we went to see this new movie called Star Wars. And the curtains were coming up. We were the only ones in the theater. It was like a matinee. It was the second day that Star Wars was out. So word hadn't gotten out yet. So we had sort of had the theater to ourselves. And she started talking and talking and talking. She said, son, I mean, that movie, you have no idea how close to the truth that is. That, there are other races in the universe that, and we know about them. And she said in the spaceships and even wars and stuff like that, she said all that stuff is true. She said you'll never hear about it. She said it's because the government's never going to tell the public. They would, scare people too much, and they have too much to lose in that. But she said it's realer than you will ever know, son. And that kind of stuck with me.
See, it's kind of, it's the thing about we will never know. I mean, I guess it's not like we go into outer space every day, but we do have people on this planet searching the heavens with telescopes and different things like that. Did
you just call it the heavens?
The heavens, yeah. The universe with telescopes and stuff. Isn't it logical at some point that we would catch a glimpse of something like that going on? I mean, I know we're talking about a massive
you're talking
area.
like a war.
Yeah, I mean, but you would think, and of
Maybe
course
we have seen stuff like that. We may think maybe we thought that it was just like a normal a supernova or something. But how do we know?
Yeah.
Maybe they do have planet busters.
It just intrigues
like
me.
they did in that movie. Yeah.
Earl, I just want you to know
I
that
live with
whenever they shoot off a rocket on TV, like Ron
I
cancels his whole day
I'm
and he
stuck to the
he gets
TV.
emotional. Gets emotional.
Yeah.
And
Me
I
too.
call him during the event. I'm like, bro, you okay? I mean, you all right? You need a hug when I get over?
I mean, look, all these SpaceX things that are going on. SpaceX is taking a rocket up now about every third day. I mean, they're just shooting them up, putting all of these satellites around the Earth. I mean, and when it comes right down to it, I am a UFO believer, not I know that there's got to be something else out there in this mass universe, of what's going on. Have I seen anything? No. Do I want to experience something like that? Of course I do. And I just, that's what intrigues me about the MUFON site and reading these articles and the reports. I mean, like I said, I go out once in a while and look at the last 20 reports that have been posted to MUFON just because I'm intrigued by all of that.
So, Earl, how do you dissect through this, right? I mean, so you're busy, right? How do you determine when somebody gets a hold of you guys and it's a hot case? How do you determine who handles it, how you approach it, and give us an example of something recent that you had to deal with?
Well, we all of our cases, we deal with them locally. So we have field investigators. Right now, I have more field investigators on my team than we've had in quite a while, including myself. There's 11 of us right now, which is pretty nice, because there have been other times where, I would personally have 30 cases going on at one time that I was taking care of, Now, there's good and bad to this. Okay, the good news is because of the number of cases, I've closed over 730 cases at this point. Personally, you'll keep a case open for 3 months max, gather as much evidence and information as you can in that time, and then you are going to close it. We'll close it with a disposition, which would be, information only. Insufficient data to really tell whether it was a UFO or not. An IFO, which is an identified flying object, which most of our cases wind up being, with drones and with, the SpaceX satellites right now, the satellite train that you were speaking of earlier, that gets, people mistake that for Space Force quite often, They think it must be, 100 spaceships in a line. But it's just like J. Allen Hynek, who used to run Project Blue Book. He's a hero of mine, and a lot of our investigatory practices are based on his that he came up for the Air Force's program. And just like Hynek said back in the 1960s, he said that 5 to 10% of the UFO reports are interesting. The other 90 to 95% are mistaken objects, or are hoaxes, or are, what have you. People will see planets, or they'll see Venus and Saturn and Jupiter up there together, and that can look pretty impressive. If you're not used to looking at astronomical objects that's going to look like 3 UFOs to a person. They weren't there last night, But it's that 5% that I find very, very interesting. And I'll tell you, we get some amazing cases in.
Oh,
you were telling us about a case before the show. Yeah.
Yeah, you were asking how you determine who gets the cases. I have people with different backgrounds. Right now, I've got an astrophysicist on our team. I have another guy who's in college going for his doctorate in astrophysics. I've got a police detective. I've got a private detective. I have another woman who worked for. We just got her. She worked for Northrop, and she worked at JPL on. She actually worked on the James Webb Space Telescope that we just sent up there. So I have some really highly trained and smart people working for me.
That's a crew,
so
brother. I'm just saying that's a crew.
So,
I thought you were gonna say maybe.
I
thought you were gonna say maybe because Bobby, because he lived over there, and then you got freaking Fat Tony over there at the beach. He kind of covers that area. Oh,
well, that plays into it too. It depends on who's closest to where the sighting happened, who knows the topography of this area, or who's, if something happens in San Diego, I'm going to send one of my guys in San Diego to check it out, or one of my women in San Diego to check it out. Yeah. That's the other thing, is we're pretty evenly distributed. It's very nice. I have as many female field investigators as I have male investigators, and the intuition is different for women. There's strengths there that I will absolutely think about when I assign cases. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things that play into it, but I just have a wonderful team right now, and fully capable of handling the immense number of amazing cases we're getting.
I actually really
we're
appreciate,
getting
brother,
stuff off of Catalina Island. Sorry about that.
No, I was just going to say that I just really appreciate that, because there is a difference, and there is it in regards to when you talk about women and men, and I'm not trying to point any of them out. I just know in certain situations, like my wife, she's way better at it in certain situations at a spiritual level, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Right? And
I do.
I'm a spiritual guy, but I'm not that, I try to be that connected, but I'm not, right? And so I don't know. I don't know. It's certain situations call for certain individuals, and that's an important factor. And I just want to say I appreciate the hell out of the fact that you recognize that.
I just see strengths in my
Yes,
people, but everybody has different strengths, And somebody that's used to dealing with, that understands astrophysics and understands orbital mechanics, or worked for JPL, or they're going to recognize a satellite, the behaviors of a spy satellite, or there are certain people that are going to be more apt to come up with an accurate disposition on certain cases.
Earl, I was
others.
going to suggest that maybe me and Ron apply, and think about being considered
for like the North Central Texas.
Yeah, he's going to say, these are my North Central. Yeah. Okay, here's your physicist, and then you have Rocky and Ron.
Some abnormal guys out of North Central Texas.
Yeah, they do radio. They do radio.
Hey, look, I'm like the dude that I took astronomy classes.
Yeah.
In college, but I'm like the musician, and I'm a musician and a nurse. I have a background in nursing. I just recently retired after a 36-year career as a nurse. So, with medical stuff, I'm really good with that. With sometimes you'll have in abduction cases, people will have scoop marks taken out. They'll have implants put in.
What?
There's that. Oh yeah, that's a thing. And we have people that have. I have one case that recently. Mufon actually chose it as one of the 5 best cases of the year last year. I got to talk about it and do a little PowerPoint presentation at the last symposium on this. But we had a woman who's a clinical psychologist. Her husband's a medical doctor. And she and her son were driving home in the early evening, and they were near this grammar school, and they saw this V-shaped craft. This V-shaped craft had little lights on the bottom of it. It looked quite a bit like one of the craft that was in the Phoenix Lights sighting that so many people saw. The closer that they got to this craft, time became very strange for them. People will experience what we call the Oz effect. Usually it happens in an abduction or a visitation scenario, but it will also happen in a close encounter of the second you come, within 50 feet of a craft. And that's where they were. They were within 50 feet of this craft. It intentionally rolled over so they could see the lights on the bottom, and the lights started flashing. And I believe that it caused some sort of a, that almost like hypnotized them or got them into a trance.
I'm not looking into the light.
Yeah, that would be my issue. Now, before you continue with that story, Earl, we've got about a minute before we run out to a short 2-minute break. But then I want to come back and talk the rest of that story, and then maybe talk about some of the other 5 most interesting cases that Mufon has dealt with. So if people wanted to find you on the web right now, where would they find you and how would they locate you?
If you have seen a UFO and you want to report it, go to MUFON.com. MUFON. It's a mutual UFO network. MUFON.com. And right up front, it will say, report a UFO. If you want to find me, I'm on Facebook. That's where people usually look. I think I still have a few friend spots that are open.
Is it under Earl Grey Anderson or just Earl Grey? Or?
It's just under Earl Grey.
Okay.
And you'll see it says California State Director of MUFON on there. You'll see my face on there.
Boom. All right, brother Earl, stand back, folks.
Stay with us, Earl.
When we come back, we will jump right back into. I had questions and I forgot because ADHD.
So we didn't talk about the
dude, and the underground caves, dude. We were there, and I had questions about it.
I know, and it's in all of this is intriguing to me, and I get caught up listening so deep and trying to think of, oh my God, what about this? And he was talking about the underground bunkers and stuff, and I'm like, holy crap! And
then we started talking about rockets, and we go that direction. Literally. Folks, hey, Abnormal Realities, we have Brother Earl Grey, State Director, MUFON, Southern California, on the program. Dear friend, stick around, because Brother Ron Phillips is going to take us home. Come on.
Hey, guys, abnormalrealities.com. That's where you can find us. Go out, do the shopping, get some gear if you need it. We'll be back in 2 minutes with Earl Grey Anderson. Stay with us.
At Romika Designs, we're more than just a laser engraving and specialty design company. Much more. I'm Ron Phillips, co-owner of Romika Designs, and if you can dream it, we can probably make it. We can custom laser cut and engrave on nearly all material. Great for one-of-a-kind gifts, home decor, business and specialty items, or personalized and logoed designs created just for you or your company. Allow us to become your go-to gift and specialty project partner. Romika Designs can help make your ideas a reality. We're ready to help you design and create that special gift for any occasion or engrave your personal or business logo on just about any product. View our designs at romikadesigns.com or simply email us with your ideas. We specialize in custom design and would be honored to have the opportunity to discuss it with you. Call us at 817-400-4040, email info@romikadesigns.com, or visit us on the web at romikadesigns.com.
Abnormal Realities.
All right. So let's see. Oh, this is a cool one. You may affect magnetic phenomena that makes credit cards unreadable after you've been carrying them. Do you have a problem with your credit cards?
I do not.
He is not a slider.
I'm not a slider.
All right. And number everything that's no more numbers.
What are you doing? I'm just thinking about how much of a train wreck we are.
Give me a hug.
No, I'm not hugging you. God, how long is this show going to go? I can't believe you got to the end of the story and you went, humana, humana, humana. There are no more numbers. What?
I thought there's another one. I tried playing it out. It rolled over on me.
Abnormal Realities.
Every time I look at the clock, the break gets further away. I don't understand.
With Ron and Rocky. 8 p.m. Eastern, Mojo 50.
Hit me. Welcome back to Abnormal Realities, folks. I'm Ron Phillips. That is Rocky Stucci. Brother.
How you doing?
How you doing, brother?
No, don't even. All right, so during the break, me and Ron we got a little squabble.
We didn't get into any
Yeah, you pushed my chair with your foot.
We didn't get into a squabble at all.
He goes, dude, at the beginning of the show, you said brother like 300 times in 10 minutes. I'm like, no, you're going to go back now. We got to edit
Got to go
all
back
of it
and
out.
watch. No, we're not editing anything. Brother. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great show tonight, guys. We've got some great information still upcoming. He's already talked to us about some of the cases that he's working on. We have Earl Grey Anderson from Mufon on with us. He is the state director for Southern California. Mufon
cool.
is, I think that's correct. Earl, is that right? Did I say it correct?
Yeah, that was correct.
State director
State
for
director of Southern California.
Yeah, Ron was yelling at me, brother, during the break. He was yelling at me because I said brother too many times. You know, this is producer mode too, you know, because he can never just let it go, you know.
Oh, I see.
Yep, yelled at me. So
I didn't yell at him.
Hey, you know.
It's going to sound like a Marvin
Now,
Gaye
he's got a
song.
story to finish. Don't forget.
Brother, you know.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's
All right. I'm
Marvin
feeling
Gaye's cool.
it. He said Marvin Gaye is cool. Hell yeah, he is.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Go ahead. All right. So you were telling us a story before we went to break.
Yes.
So go ahead and complete that for us.
Yeah, so the mom and her adult son, the mom's a clinical psychologist, and they're approaching this V-shaped craft, and and time is getting very strange for them, especially when they look at the lights. Now you hear this quite often from case to case. The mom was saying, well, it was very weird. I'm not sure if it was 15 minutes, 5 minutes, or time just became very elongated and strange. But she got, they drove home after they watched this thing turn around and fly rooftop level away from them. And you hear this a lot, it's just like, well, why weren't there a million UFO reports out there? Well, I think that they create their own little space there when you have a close encounter, that they do something interdimensional. And when they do this, it allows them to come through walls and visit people or take a person through the ceiling because it somehow or another their physics are different from our physics.
What was the guy? Who was the guy that we had on the show, Rocky, that said that they came into his room?
Yeah.
And he stayed awake specifically because he had been abducted several times as a child, but they let him stay awake this time so he could see the entrance into the portal.
And it was a bedroom wall.
It was his bedroom wall, but it was a portal into there. Yeah, I can't remember his name.
There you go. Yeah. That happens, and that happens.
I don't know,
I
man.
even had a strange experience myself. So I know that this is a real thing. And I'll tell you what happens when you're in the presence of extraterrestrials or dimensionals, whichever they are, and I think that there are both that we're dealing with, but it's non-human intelligences. If you look into the Tic Tac UFO that happened out here in off of Catalina Island,
right?
They had weird, strange. Time got very strange for Kevin Day when he was on the radar deck of the Princeton. He said that one moment, people were throwing their arms up in the air and they were talking about shooting at the Tic Tac, and then he said that it was almost like the time stream switched. It got very weird. Suddenly everybody was calm, and it was almost as though the timeline was changed there by this event that happened. Wow. But we hear this. It's called the Oz effect when it affects time and space, and it becomes very, very quiet when people being visited or abducted or close to a UFO. You won't hear street sounds. It's almost like you're in a studio setting where
it's almost like they encapsulate you in a bubble.
Yes, exactly.
A time bubble.
I think that's what happens.
Dimensional bubble.
Why there will be this huge UFO that people will see that will be the size of a building, and yet there are no other reports that come in, because that was for that mother and for her son. Now they got home and they started talking about it. It was almost like they weren't supposed to talk about it, and like they had come up to some agreement, And then the son finally said, "Mom, what the hell? What was that?" And she said, "Well, I think you know what that was. It was a UFO." They thought that this was like all over, but what happened was it kind of opened a door in her life where she started getting taken at night. And now the husband's an MD, he's a medical doctor, and I spoke with this whole family. I spoke with them multiple times. Did quite a few interviews with them separately, and he would become paralyzed at night, and she would be taken. They would find her in the other room, sometimes outside even, and she would have scoop marks taken out of the back of her neck. She would have sometimes her clothes would be rearranged differently. They were doing some sort of medical stuff with her. And we hear this very often from case to case to case. Of course, you've heard this as well, but that's kind of a classic case with both a craft, but whereas the abductions wound up coming later. But I think it opened the door in her life, and I think that the door has to be opened in your life by our visitors, and that's when people start experiencing stuff. It can go on multi-generational sometimes,
Jeff,
where
let me
you'll have
ask
the
you, brother.
father and the son.
When you say you do a lot of work or research in regards to experiencers, and I just want to get your take on it because I've talked to a few other people about this. But what is your take on an experience of a dream to where you're on a craft and you see a council and you see everything and you remember it clear as day? Yeah. Some people believe
people
that that's a form of abduction, maybe.
Yeah, people will describe a dream that was realer than reality, that was realer than a dream. Other people, it won't be like a dream; it will be while they're awake, and they'll have a face-to-face with entities. And there's certain markers from case to case that we see time and time again. The way that it affects the way we experience time is one of those markers. The scoop marks being taken or implants, so that I think that they're probably tracking devices. That happens from case to case to case, and I think that there are different entities that are doing this. Why are they doing it? I think that there's a DNA farming thing that was going on for a while. I also think that right now that they're trying to reset humanity's baseline reality. That we're still living as though Isaac Newton were the most recent, physicist. And we know that that's, it's an antiquated view of the universe. Quantum physics is where it's at. Spooky action at a distance, and where a wave can look like a wave or a particle depending on what the scientist is expecting to see. It's an interactive universe, but yet we're very, very antiquated the way that we look at our reality. And I think it's to the point where we don't really see our place in the universe. We don't see that we're not alone. And we're still fighting wars amongst ourselves. I mean, how could we possibly expect aliens to reveal themselves to us and have a relationship with us when we fight ourselves over religion or skin color or differences of opinion? And so I think that they're trying to do a reset on humanity, and I hope that they're successful.
Some of them probably, they probably drive up, just kind of take a look down and they're like, yeah, maybe we'll come back next year.
We'll give them a little bit more time to percolate.
Hey, I got a question for you, brother. And I don't know if this correlates, because I know besides UFO, I know you have a wide variety of different interests in all similar realms. But so lots of times during like my paranormal investigations, some of the times, brother, I said, brother.
That's all right.
So, you psychologically damaged me, okay? Thank you.
That's all right, brother.
See, there he goes. Sometimes I've had this belief that, when I say a non-human entity, there's multiple directions I could go with that description.
Yeah, I've already been asked to talk to him ask him about the lizard people.
Yeah, well, okay, we'll get to that.
Okay.
It's a
but
popular subject.
yeah. So, but when I'm doing these investigations, and so I say one non-human entity, I'm not referring to something of spiritual nature. Now, maybe it's weird to explain it that way, but I'm referring to maybe more of a terrestrial type of entity, right? Do you ever get cases? Have you ever done research to where people have done these types of investigations and picked up something more alienish than humanish, or what we think we're investigating as human ghosts?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like an alien ghost, are you saying?
Yeah, sometimes, like when I was at the Burlington...
I've heard this before.
Well, when I was at the Burlington
I've heard it mentioned
Vortex...
that there's such a thing.
Yeah, and that's what sparked my interest. I was at the Burlington Vortex, and some of the EVPs and the sounds that we're getting were something I've never heard from any investigation ever, and it was just weird. It was really weird stuff. So I've often wondered, sometimes some of these EVPs that I get at some of these haunted locations, I'm like, is that really human? Could that be like an terrestrial entity portraying to be something, and they're just kind of there in a like
Could be.
I mean, if we're bouncing in and out of multiple dimensions and different frequencies and stuff like that, in my opinion, you could cross over into something like that and not realize it because we're not getting a clear enough signal, right, on the spirit box or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you think?
Very
Earl?
interesting. I've thought about this myself, and I think that you're probably correct. I think that probably some stuff comes through that's not from here originally. Yeah.
It's
a big universe.
And you hear in this community, a lot of people talk about they live among us, right? There's people that believe that. There's some that can just blend right into society and we can't even tell. And
I believe that too.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you have the people that talk about the Antarctica, the underground caves with the reptilians, the reptilian type of alien. And I'm sure this is all, you've been down all these roads, right?
Yeah, sure. I get reptilian cases sometimes. Not as many as you would imagine, but I do get them. They're usually more negative cases. They're usually not the more positive cases, although... I do get people that say that they have relationships with reptilians that are positive. So I don't think that any race would be completely negative or hateful, right? I mean, we know lots of humans that they come in all shapes and forms and mindsets, and they're not all good. They're not all bad. There are certain humans that I would not want to introduce to my daughter, or,
right.
grandkids, right? So, it's I bump into this a lot where people want to paint the whole phenomena with one brush. It's all benevolent. It's all malevolent.
Yep.
And I'll tell you, just being honest, and it's not what people want to hear. People want to hear, oh, it's all this negative thing, or they're demons, or they're this or that.
That's right.
Reptile people that are running our government and et cetera. And then you'll have other people that say, oh, it's all love and light and beautiful, and they're here to just help. And there are those that are here to help. There are those that are full of love and light. And then there are those that are very negative entities, I think. There are some people that, if they could get hold of their abductors, they would throttle them. They would I know that... I was talking to one guy that, was sleeping with a shotgun. He was hoping he could get some shots off at him, which is like, no, to do that because the bullet's going to go through your wall. It's going to hit a neighbor, It's like, don't be stupid. But, I can't paint the phenomenon with one paintbrush. It's too big. There's so many things that are going on. I think that it's, that we have visitors from other dimensions as well as from other star systems. And what you were saying about them living among us, I've heard this, I mean, a very interesting book to read right now is Skinwalkers at the Pentagon. I know some people.
Okay.
Come on.
Skinwalkers at the Pentagon by Cole McKelleher, by George Knapp was the co-writer, and there was another gentleman who was... but they were all the original scientists that were working over at with Bigelow over at Skinwalker Ranch originally, and it's an interesting book. Yeah, interesting book.
So what's
It's
your
kind of a
take?
bestseller right now.
Right. What's your take? I know I'm kind of diverted here, but
I think
what's
it's real. The provenance of it is very, well, Harry Reid, the Senate Majority Leader that we just lost, he wrote the foreword to the book. He's the guy that okayed the $22 million from Congress to study this phenomenon, and so that's that's not slim pickings. That's a lot of money. That's an important person in our government, and you have to look at the provenance of that.
See, that's when things get real interesting to me. So, Earl, have you, because of what your mom did when you were young and stuff like that, do you have any, I guess, personal experience with, situations with the secret space programs and things like that we hear about, where, we have bases on the moons and Mars and stuff like that?
I have not seen or had any encounters like that, although I have seen a couple of UFOs since I had an experience.
Yeah, tell us about your experience.
Talking about them coming through the wall. It was when I first got into this. It's when I first joined MUFON and became a field investigator. And my state director at the time is very kind of a nuts and bolts guy about the phenomena. And it was the last thing he wanted to hear was well, I had a visit last night, and they came through my wall. Oh. Well, I was the new field investigator.
What the hell?
And I really thought he was going to fire me. I was just like a little freaked out because he was not happy to hear this. He, a lot of people were MUFON, we tried to be scientifically minded, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's our creed is the scientific study of UFOs for the benefit of humankind. And, we try to remain scientific, and you want to keep an open mind, but you want to also, shave with Occam's razor. You want to be very, picky, and I am picky about what I call a UFO. But when your wall opens up and you have these diminutive, hairless, the little grays come through and you can't move, and it will absolutely shake your world. John Mack, he was the Princeton scientist who came up with the term ontological shock for what happens to you when you've had a face-to-face encounter. What? And it's ontological shock it's almost like the shock that you would go through if you'd been in a car accident or something, where people will feel like they can't even talk, they can't move, except that this is psychological what happens. It's almost like it just pulls the reality out from under you, like you would pull a rug out from somebody. Yeah. And that's what it was for me. I didn't really know who to go to or who to talk with. This happened to me one night. It was just a proverbial visit where I couldn't move. They took blood and energy from me. My wife, as soon as I could move, I was screaming and yelling, and my wife was just horrible. She was so mad. Said, "You joined this crazy UFO group, and now you're seeing aliens, But 2 nights later, my wife was the one who was shaking me awake. And again, our room was flooded with light like it was with me. But she was like going back and forth going, "You need to tell your little friends they need to leave us the F alone." I already have.
Wow. Have you and your wife had a mutual experience with abduction or anything like that? 2
nights after that, it was our week of weirdness is what I call it.
What?
It happened to me first. It happened to her 2 nights later. And then 2 nights later, we both woke up with our room flooded with light. There was no source for this light. It wasn't coming through the window. It was like the light was just in our room with no source. Again, it just felt very peaceful. It was very quiet. You couldn't hear the crickets chirping. We experienced the Oz effect. And this time we both could move. We both went to the window. We opened the window up, and there was indeed light shining down on our house from above our house. We couldn't see the object itself, but there was no sound of rotors. It wasn't a helicopter. That's the first thing. You start thinking logically, it's a police helicopter,
right.
Burbank, California. But no, there was no sound of rotors. It was perfectly quiet, but this strange light was flooding our house. And And that has I believe that opened the portal in my life to experience this phenomena, and I think that perhaps it was done purposefully so that I would understand it, so that I would have compassion for the people I speak with who have had a similar experience. Before I went through that, I thought, well, if somebody's been abducted, we'll just do the do the nth degree on them and surround them with cameras and see if we can get them to crack. And, you think that everybody's a liar because it's just such a strange and outlandish thing to say that you've been
Right.
taken or visited by aliens. But now that I've been doing this for many years, and I also am a member of Mufon's experiencer resource team, and I've heard so many stories that are just exactly similar to the ones that Lisa, my wife, and I went through, that I believe them and I have compassion for them. Whereas before, maybe I would have been, more apt to wonder, who was lying to me. Why were they making this
I
thing?
have to say that's pretty profound, though, that he had that experience with the light, him and his wife. He had it, then she had it, then they both had it. And it completely changed your approach into your investigative and field work.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
dude,
it
that's, when I had my first real paranormal experience, it literally changed the way I approached any location that I go research. And Earl, I'm not lying. I've become a little light. You know what I'm saying, brother? I've become a little soft when I go into some of these places. It's like I become so sensitive to it that it just kind of like, it's almost painful. So yeah, man, that's pretty profound.
And see,
how you look at it.
that's me, Rocky. When you and I talked about this, I want to experience the paranormal, the UFO.
I want to see you experience getting lifted out of a bed wearing your onesie.
No, that's not it. For me, for me,
Happen, Rocky.
yeah, for me, it's the UFO alien, not necessarily an abduction. Thank you, but that kind of thing. That's the. It's all of it is just intriguing to me. It's that deep wonder. You know what I'm saying?
It's going to be deep, and it's going to be wonder.
It was a bad choice of words. It was a bad choice of words. I get it.
I know
but
exactly what he's
You
doing.
even did the fist, dude, when you did it.
Probings aren't very popular,
Thank you.
All the
Yeah.
cases I've had, I think I've only had maybe one case out of the thousands of people I've spoken with that have gone through abductions and UFO sightings and else what. And out of all of those, I think there's just one of them that was probed like Whitley Strieber was similarly. So it doesn't. It's not a very it doesn't happen very often, but it does happen.
But we talk about it so much, though, Earl, that if I just got lifted out of this chair right now and getting sucked up into the sky, the only thing I'm going to be thinking of is I'm going to get probed by an alien. That's the only thing. But no, I'm going to get I'm going to get a freaking needle to the eyeball or something. So
well, that might happen. I mean, you hear very strange medical experiments that happen.
What's the strangest?
Organs are literally removed and put back, and weird stuff.
Okay, wow.
Yeah. It's weird stuff. Hey, I've heard absolutely crazy stories.
Wow.
And we're dealing with science that is not our science. Arthur C. Clarke, famous science fiction writer, he was the guy that wrote 2001 Space Odyssey with Stanley Kubrick. He had a saying, and I think it's one of the best ones I've ever heard about alien technology. And he said that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. And that's really true. We're talking, now if you went and you grabbed somebody from, say, the 10th century or the 14th century and showed them your iPhone, you've heard this example before, they would think that you were a wizard, that you were a magician.
Correct.
There were little people living inside this box, and you'd probably be burned at the stake as a sorcerer. It's the same thing. I mean, we come across this technology that is not our own, that may be a million years ahead of our own technology. It's going to seem a hell of a lot like magic to us. It's going to seem like voodoo, but I think that we're not dealing with magic. We're not dealing with voodoo. We're dealing with a quantum universe that acts like magic. that is more like magic than a nuts and bolts Newtonian.
Yep.
Apple hits you on the head, and therefore the apple is real and gravity is there. I mean, that's what most people think of as physics still. And then you have something like the Tic Tac that was traveling 18 times the speed of sound without making so much as a single sonic boom. Not, every time it hits Mach 1, Mach 2, Mach 3, the space shuttle, it would hit Mach 3 coming in, and you'd have that double sonic boom, right? Well, you'd have 18 of those with the way that the Tic Tac was moving when the Princeton and Kevin Day was on the Princeton, and they sent the flight crew up there to intercept. It was making 90-degree turns without becoming a fireball. That's impossible. Physics tells us that had to have become a fireball, like a meteor crashing into through our atmosphere. We should have heard all kinds of sonic booms, and it was perfectly silent. So it's a different technology than ours.
It's 0 point gravity and stuff like our energy, and just zero. I mean, all of these types of tools and functions and capabilities that we don't think we have right now.
No, but
could the government have that capability and us just not know?
Oh, I'm sure we've got some tech that we don't.
Pull my finger.
Yeah.
I'm not pulling your finger.
That's not technology.
Hey, I gotta explain, Earl. I gotta explain. Audrey dared me in the chat room to say that she goes, throw them off and tell them to pull your finger. Freaking Audrey's a little troublemaker. All right, Earl, we got about a minute. The Meatball Army, baby. That's what I'm talking about. But
I know about that stuff.
Brother, we got about a minute, and I want to make sure that you can let everybody know how can they follow you, follow your work and your research and everything that you got coming up.
Yeah. I'm pretty easy to, going. I don't really have my own website yet. That will probably change in the near future. But right now, the best way is just to go to Facebook and friend me. I'm Perfect. Earl Grey, and I've got a few, I think 30 more spots left before I have to go through and
start
calling them out again.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Be like, bye.
Hey, I sent my friend request in just now. So.
Oh, Ron jumped in. He has 29 kids. Come on, get moving.
Yeah.
All right.
The other thing is, if you've seen a UFO, or you want to, if you have had a visitation or abduction, if what I'm talking about rings a bell for you and sounds familiar, go to Mufon.com. You will be able to either, report your UFO sighting or your abduction or visitation. We handle all of those things. And if you're in Southern California, I will see your UFO report. And I'll probably see your abduction questionnaire as well. So, because they come through me. So
fantastic. Earl, stick with us for a second. We'll be back with you after the show. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Earl Grey Anderson, the state director of Southern California for MUFON.
Boy, come on, Phillips. Thank you, brother.
Man,
appreciate
fantastic.
it, Earl. Hey, abnormalrealities.com, RollMakeItDesigns.com, and InsaneCustomTumblers.com. Folks, we love the hell out of each and every one of you. And Earl, I forgot to ask Earl, man, if we can arrange this, I need to have Ron go through a partial abduction so I could live stream it.
Whatever, dude.
And we could do some video editing.
We're not live streaming a probing, I can tell you that right now.
Love you guys. Ron, take us out.
See you guys tomorrow night.